Hey, what's going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning in for another guide on the channel. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Cup car, the Class A car at Texas Motor Speedway. Um, I think I say it like every video. It's a decently fun track, uh, but has a pretty good set of challenges. So we'll go ahead and hop right into it. Thank you for tuning in. Um, First things to note about Texas is that turns 1 and 2 have considerably less banking than turns 3 and 4. So pretty much you'll have to breathe the throttle just a little bit so you'll be, and when I say breathe the throttle, I mean you'll be about part throttle on the corner entry of 1 and midway through the corner. But 3 and 4 pretty much flat out in most cases. Even after a longer run, it's pretty much flat out. We'll talk in a little bit about how the car kind of changes over that run. Because I actually got pretty lucky. We had a 48 lap green flag run last night out of the 50 laps in the race. So that was pretty good. It gave me a good idea what the car is going to do. Qualifying tips. Go ahead and kill the tires. That's the tip. Um, I know that sounds pretty obvious, but your qualifying line and your race line are going to be a little bit different. So in qualifying, just go ahead and kill the tires. Don't even worry about them. You don't really have to run right next to the wall at any point. These cars have so much downforce and grip that you can kind of pinch off the corner entries and exits without losing too much time. If you um, if you can, don't let completely out of the throttle at any point during the lap either. On fresh tires in qualifying, you can just breathe out of the throttle and maybe be 70% on the corner entry of 1, and then just get back to it and try to keep the car as low as you can without spinning yourself out. It's not really too loose, but it will be a little bit loose. You'll have to play with the steering a little bit to keep the car where you want it. So that's qualifying tips here. Yeah, so find where you can keep the car low in the middle of 1 and 2 as far as like getting back to the throttle. You'll lose a lot of time if you let the car ride up too much towards the wall because these cars are already kind of hurting for power. And so if you climb up in the exit of 2, you're kind of climbing that banking. You're losing a lot of momentum that's going to hurt you all the way down the back stretch, but it's also going to hurt you into turn 3 and 4 because you're flat out through there also. So the exit of turn 2 is really important because you're basically full throttle for the rest of the course. So let's go ahead and take a look at the qualifying lap from my perspective here, and then we will talk about some of what we did. I managed to get a 28.955, which I was pretty happy with, and this is using the track and weather, like track state weather and all of that stuff for the fixed series. In the beta UI, they have an option where you can hit like solo race if you want to test drive it yourself, and it'll make you a session with the exact conditions. So that's what I did. Um, so we'll go ahead and check this out real quick. There we go. So as you can see during that lap, we really pinched the corner entries on basically 1, 2, and 3, and 4. Normally you would want to be a little bit higher up if you were running the race. You want to arc it a little bit more, but with these cars being almost flat out, you don't have to do that at any point here. So you can see we just pretty much hug it, We don't exit right up next to the wall. You could probably be a little bit lower also, and then we enter the corner pretty soon as well. Again, no regard for the tires during qualifying. You just go for it. So, race tips. So we'll let these play out here. Sorry guys, I'm a little bit out of sorts this morning. Okay, race tips. My goal is typically over a longer run, breathe the throttle and wait for the car to rotate or until it's just about rotated and then throttle back up to make it rotate the rest of the way. I found that was one of the better ways to drive the car a little bit more off the rear tire, off the right rear, and keep the car rotated enough so that it doesn't want to shoot up next to the wall on that corner exit on two. That way I can unwind the steering as early as possible so that I can get a little bit more speed going down the straightaway. Again, these cars being so momentum based that if you're really pinching off your steering coming out of the corner, like if you're adding steering on your corner exit, then you're scrubbing those front tires and you're losing speed because you're causing more friction at the front of the car and you're not really accelerating as hard as you can. So you definitely don't want to bog the engine down here because it's really hard to gain that momentum back. Like I said, you're flat out after turn 2 for the rest of the lap, so the exit of 2 is very important for you to keep as much momentum as you can. So we'll take a look at that here. This lap. So here's what I mean. Back it up just a little bit here. So you can see in qualifying we're full throttle. Here we're up next to the wall, we've let out of the throttle, we're waiting, and then when we get back to it, you see the car rotate a little bit more. We're about mid-corner, we get back to it, and we let the car rotate, and that helps me stay low, and now I've got the steering wheel just about straight on corner exit, and I've kept a pretty good amount of momentum. And breathing the throttle going into 3 is a bad habit that I think I've got. I don't think it helps you at all. If you're uncomfortable with the car getting kind of light, then you can let out of the throttle just a little bit on the entry of 3, but you don't want to do too much because you'll lose a bunch of time. Oh, there we go. So I'm not using the brakes, but I can see where a small bit of trail braking towards the middle of turn 1 or on the entry of 1 could be helpful as you get near the middle of the turn, just to help the car rotate a little bit more. Might be something to experiment with. I haven't done it, so if you do try it and it works, let me know. I'd like to know. So over a run, I learned a lot about how these cars are going to react. I got pretty fortunate. We had a great group last night, so we had a 48 lap green run, which was awesome. And I didn't get steamrolled, which I was pretty surprised about. So I didn't burn off the tires too bad, but I did learn a couple things. So over a run, the car is going to get looser on the corner entry of 1 and 2 and tighter on the exit of 2, or looser in 1 and tighter in the exit of 2. So that's going to shoot you up towards the wall. So patience with the throttle is going to be key. That way you don't do that right there. This is the world's longest wreck, by the way, so enjoy. Just kept on going. Just made sure that I really knocked every quarter panel or every panel of the car out. Okay, back to it. So patience is a really good thing to practice on the exit of 2 like you just saw. You don't want the car to ride up, it's going to get tight, you're going to be adding steering coming out of the corner, and that's just going to burn that right front off worse. The walls do come up pretty quick here. As wide as the track is, we got all this real estate, and you can pretty much only use the lower lanes. But even with that, if you mess up the corner, the walls do kind of sneak up on you. 3 and 4 over a run in the pack feel looser on entry, and if you're too high up the track, like in the middle, they'll be a little bit looser on exit too, so that's something to be aware of. Um, like I said, if it's another situation where if you keep it kind of lower, it won't really feel that loose. But if you do feel uneasy uh, on corner entry, you can breathe out of the throttle just a little bit while you're setting the car down into the corner. And you won't lose that much time, especially if somebody's in front of you, you'll pick their draft back up and it'll kind of mitigate your little bit of loss of speed there. So just something to try. Um, Biggest tip, don't overdrive turn one. Be patient with the throttle, otherwise you'll have a really hard time keeping the car low over a run. Your right front will get way too hot, too worn, and then basically anybody that can drive the car right on that white line in the middle of the corner is going to be making passes under you, and there's not much you can do about it because there's not too many opportunities in these cars for you to make another pass if you're losing the momentum out of two. So the theme of this video, I guess in the style of Super GT, take a shot every time I said uh, momentum or exit of two because they're insanely important. So I learned that lesson the hard way. Last night I overdrove it in turn one too long, and that made it really hard for me to keep the car low. And so I was getting past on the low side, and then I could draft back up to him, but then I couldn't really make a move in three because it's full throttle, and then I would just lose more time in the middle of one and two. So if you keep that right front safe, don't overdrive turn one, um, I think you'll be pretty good for some good finishes this week. So, once again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you got some more tips for the track, or tricks for the track. That's my saying, not the other one. Um, and good luck this week. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for subscribing and being here watching these videos. I greatly, deeply appreciate it. So, hope you all are doing well. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next video.